Hello and welcome to SWLondoner TV with me, Emma Adjaman.
And me, Ben Winstanley. Our headlines today. As the tennis championships heat up at the All England Club, Wimbledon Village shops pull out all the stops for the window competition Grand Slam.
Calls for new cycle paths on Wimbledon Common have sparked a debate on its use.
The London Beekeepers Association has suggested that not all bee populations are under threat, following reports that bees could be worth billions to farmers worldwide.
And lastly, a Battersea man who walked the length of the Thames to raise money for a cancer centre which saved his father's life.
But first, the thousands of people flocking to Wimbledon over the next 2 weeks will be treated to various themed displays as part of the Wimbledon Tennis Window Competition. Stephen Salter speaks to some of the owners vying for first place.
We're here in Wimbledon Village this morning to take a look at some of the entrants in this year's Wimbledon Tennis Window Competition 2015. As all eyes turn towards the hallowed turf of SW19, many of the borough's businesses have opted for a tennis-themed makeover. Let's take a look at some of this year's best efforts.
We've just been here 3 weeks now, and as we were arranging to come, we heard about the competition. We were already thinking we should do something tennis-themed, but it just seemed the obvious thing to join in and do it as part of the competition rather than do something on our own. So this literally was just like a midnight idea. Can we do something with the Nintendo? Can we make something interactive? Because we wanted to do, our original idea is we wanted something that comes outside the shop, comes out into the street, and that engages people. We started just doing it for a bit of fun. We put the Wii out there and kids were playing it and some adults too. And then we thought, we've got this great attraction and people are doing it, why don't we do something a bit more worthwhile with it? So I phoned up the Wimbledon Guild and just said, you know, why don't we do something for you to raise some money? What we're doing is we're asking people to challenge anyone they like to a game of Wii tennis, and the loser makes a donation to the charity, to the Wimbledon Guild. We've had a few people already starting to challenge some of the pros, and we're hoping some of them will take us up on it. So we're hoping over the next week or two we'll get some of the big names, maybe some celebrities playing. Who knows, but at the moment it's a bit of fun for the community.
This is the first time that we've entered the Wimbledon competition. We're very proud to be a part of it. We drew inspiration from a number of different aspects of the competition, and yeah, looking forward to being a part of it for years to come. Weeks of Wimbledon is extremely exciting for us because we see so many new faces in the area. We're already so proud to be a part of this village and this community that this added sort of bonus couple of weeks that we get throughout the year, especially when the weather's like this and there's so much buzz around, it really just brings the area even more to life than it already has become. Yeah. And we get an opportunity to do really fun and creative things like this, and some of us are lucky enough to go and watch a couple of matches at some stage throughout the day.
This is the second time we've entered the Wimbledon Village tennis competition, because last year we've just opened, actually it was our first summer with Wimbledon Tennis. Well, it's fun to enter the competition and to be part of the village, and all the local businesses like to kind of support each other and promote the village as a whole. So yeah, it's good to be here. So our shop window usually has a skeleton in it, always has a skeleton in it, and we change what he's doing depending on the season. So we've just changed him from cycling to play tennis. So people, when they go past the window, are always stopping and they take photos, or they might sort of take the pose that the skeleton's in, and yeah, you get lots of people stopping.
Over 70 businesses have entered this year's competition, and you can vote for your favourite by liking the shop photo on the Wimbledon Village Events Facebook page. Whatever the result, these businesses have served up a real visual treat for their customers.
A new petition criticising cycling access on Wimbledon Common has raised concerns about the effect more cycling paths would have on its natural environment. Will McNess went to speak to the Chief Executive of Wimbledon and Putney Common Conservators.
We are here on Wimbledon Common because of a petition calling for the construction of more cycle routes in this part of the borough. This petition has caused concern amongst members of the Wimbledon and Putney Common Conservators, who fear that the introduction of yet more cycle routes could cause irreparable damage to the common as a whole.
I mean, we actually have 9 kilometres of cycle routes, believe it or not, across the common, and those routes run both north-south, and then there are east-west routes as well, so you can get from the village across to Richmond Park. So, and there is routes around the perimeter. So we do actually have a good number of routes. So 9 kilometres is for the size of the site, I think is quite an extensive area. One of the things that we have to consider is particularly the issue around commuter cycling versus recreation. Our purpose is about recreation. We're here as a common, as a big parcel of open space close to London, and our underlying premise is about recreation. And I guess the issue that we need to consider is it right to introduce commuter cycling into what is essentially a recreational domain and one of the last areas of pedestrian sort of sanctuaries. So we have to get that balance right. Focus has to be on let's get what we've got right. Let's make sure that we have got acceptable, accessible footpaths and pedestrian routes and cycle routes for everyone before we start to consider extending those routes.
I don't cycle on the common much, although I cycle a lot, but not so much on the common because they probably could put a few more in, but because there aren't that many. I think down at Beverley there's only half of that is a cycle path, and the other half you can't go on. There are a few you can go on.
We're not a park. We are a piece of common land. We're very different from a designed landscape like Hyde Park and Regent's Park. And that's one of the other constraints on the cycling, is that our legislation that brought us into being requires us to maintain that natural aspect. And I believe that's what people ultimately want. They want the site to remain this piece of rural landscape close to London. That's very important for us in terms of managing and passing on to future generations what we enjoy today.
Now for something a bit different. Greg Wilford gets hands-on at a Clapham apiary as he speaks to Richard Glasborough, chairman of the London Beekeepers Association, to find out how all is not as bad for bees as it seems.
A report this month found that bees are worth billions to farmers globally, as well as being a crucial part of the world's ecosystem. The news comes amid fears over the future of wild bees as their numbers continue to decline. But this isn't the full story. So we've come to an apiary in Clapham to meet Chairman of London Beekeepers Association, Richard Glasborough, who's going to let us have a closer look at some honeybees and explain their importance.
It does have to be recognised that honeybees, managed bees, there are problems. And the big one that everyone probably knows about is the varroa mite, the parasite. And southwest London is a high alert area for pests because of Nine Elms, because of the common garden down there, a lot of fruit and vegetables coming in. Honeybees are pretty robust and they're tough. Some bumblebees are in decline and some more solitary bees finding it difficult, and that's a lot to do with habitat loss. All pollinators are very important to our food chain. I think the number that's usually bandied about is 1 in 3 things that we eat have been pollinated at some point. There's work to be done and there's improvements can be made in the environment, but that if it improves for the bees, it improves for everybody. Basically, it's more flowers, please. What the London Beekeeping Association is trying to do is reach a good balance between the numbers of bees and the amount of forage available. If you have more bees, you need more flowers, and the problem, if you can put it that way, is in recent years the number of beekeepers has increased dramatically, and the number of known managed hives has doubled or trebled. That's not always been kept pace with the forage. In London we're working very hard with local authorities, with developers, trying to get the message out that so much more could be done very easily and very cheaply, improving the environment. The aim is to improve it for bees, but actually that, as I've said before, that improves it for everyone.
While wild bees face an uncertain future due to a decline in their natural habitat, it seems that the capital's honeybee population will continue to rise, thanks to the efforts of the London Beekeepers Association. This is Greg Wilford reporting for SWLondoner.
Finally, a man from Battersea has completed an epic trek, walking the length of the River Thames, a distance of more than 200 miles. He completed the walk to raise money for a cancer treatment centre, which saved his father's life. Our correspondent Katie Duncan went to meet him.
For many Londoners, the Thames is little more than a body of water meandering its way through the city centre. But one man would argue that this iconic river offers so much more, having walked from source to sea in a bid to raise money for a cancer charity. Philip Payne was all set to embark on his 215-mile journey when a blazing fire tore through the Battersea Arts Centre where he works, causing him to postpone his plans. But on Saturday, Philip finally completed his journey. I caught up with him to find out how he and the Arts Centre are recovering.
All right, not bad actually, better than I thought. I had a rest day in the middle of the walk, and on that day I felt pretty bad. I think it all sort of washed over me, and I expected to feel the same again, but actually I felt a lot better at the end of the whole thing. I think the most difficult part of the whole experience were the first couple of days and the last couple of days. The first couple because obviously I was getting used to walking for those distances. You always have to sort of break yourself in again, even if you've done quite a bit of walking in the past. And also those first few days were very rural, and that came as a bit of a shock, you know, wading through beds of nettles or through farmers' fields and that kind of thing. And the last couple of days because the formal national trail ends at the Thames barrier in Woolwich, but I wanted to go all the way to the sea. I didn't have my trusty A to Z, didn't go that far because it's not covered by the trail, so I had to sort of make my own routes and find my own way, and I misjudged a few of the distances, so the last few days were pretty grueling. If there's one thing I've discovered is that the River Thames is so much more than just that. I mean, London is a tiny part of its entire span, and the journey, I think, is the most important thing. My dad was diagnosed with bladder cancer in late 2013, and I'm from Wigan, and all the family is still in Wigan, but I'm of course down here living in Battersea, and so I felt particularly helpless at the time. My dad was treated in Salford at the Christie in April 2014. He had an operation, and he received just brilliant treatment from them. They were absolutely great with him, and I was very thankful for that, and felt afterwards that I wanted to do something. I mean, it's a cliche to say, but the river is a metaphor for life in a way, and given that the work of the Christie is all about saving lives, then I couldn't think of a more fitting physical challenge to raise money for the work that they do.
Philip's walk has so far raised more than £1,000 for the Christie, and with work well underway to rebuild the damaged section of the Arts Centre, he has been overwhelmed by the support from the community for both causes.
Obviously we had a really devastating fire that destroyed our Grand Hall in March. That weekend I was actually due to do one of my preparatory walks, one of my training walks, and I was supposed to do the full walk originally in April, but because of the fire I had to postpone it. The support that we received as an organisation ever since the fire has been incredible from all sorts of quarters, so we're making good progress. It's going to be a long haul to redevelop the Grand Hall, but step by step we're going to get there. In a way, as terrible as the fire was, a lot of good has come out of that, both for Battersea Arts Centre but also on a personal level. It has helped me as well, I think.
The restoration of this great landmark, just like Philip's challenge, will be a long and gruelling one. But if his endeavour has taught us anything, it's that every journey starts with a single step. This is Katie Duncan reporting for SWLondoner from Battersea Arts Centre.
That's all we've got time for today. Thank you for watching SWLondoner TV.
For all the latest news in South West London, log on to our website, SWLondoner.co.uk.
That's it from us. I'm Ben Winstanley.
And I'm Emma Adjaman. Goodbye.
Goodbye.